I am back from a 2-week break, and I am feeling excited to dive in and dissect the day's news. I have renewed zeal, or you might even say a renewed zest for the job, as well as a brand new thesaurus. And I am feeling exhilarated, vivacious, possibly even ebullient at the prospect of once again synthesizing and contextualizing the day's top stories. Let's take a look at them.
President Trump reposting a far-right dark conspiracy that former President Biden was executed 5 years ago and is actually now a robotically engineered clone.
Musk accused apparently of using ketamine, psychedelic mushrooms, ecstasy, and they say he would travel with a box of 20 pills every day.
When Iowa voters asked Republican Senator Joni Ernst about Medicaid cuts that could lead to deaths, she replied, quote, "Well, we're all gonna die."
Sorry, I'm looking for a synonym for the word me. Although, you know what? I think in this case, me works just fine. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. You know, our politics are very divided right now, but I think we can all come together to give a big round of applause to a dedicated public servant who selflessly offered his talents and business acumen to the American people for no personal gain other than the flourishing of the great American experiment and, by all accounts, succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. And I'm just with you, it's Elon Musk.
It's now official. Elon Musk is leaving his role as a special government employee in the Trump administration.
Musk fell far short of his Doge goals after promising to cut up to $2 trillion in federal spending. He lowered expectations to only $150 billion in the current fiscal year.
I think they're only sending $9 billion in Doge cuts which is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, which means pretty much his effort was a failure.
A legacy of disease, starvation, and death.
In the Oval Office today, President Trump's farewell to Elon Musk. What Elon Musk acknowledged today, Musk also explaining his black eye.
Man, it's wild that this guy arrived in Washington to cheers from conservatives, and now he's leaving with plummeting sales and a black eye. Although, based on how he waved a chainsaw around like a nightclub lumberjack, I guess he should just be happy he still has all his limbs. By the way, Musk claims he got the black eye because he's told his son to punch him in the face, and then his son did. I'm sorry, why is this guy considered a genius? I mean, my boys love me, but all they're ever waiting for in regards to punching me in the face is an invitation. But Elon's former employer / subordinate, Donald Trump, was cool about it.
But I didn't really feel much at the time, and then I guess it bruises up. But I just wasn't around with the kids.
I didn't notice it, actually.
Not the compliment he thinks it is. I didn't notice it. I mean, you always look like right, everyone? I mean, Elon always looks a little weird. Weird name, weird face. I mean, he looks like a Xerox of his own headshot. Noticing a black eye on this guy would be like noticing a dirt stain on a dumpster. Anyway, we're gonna miss you, Elon. So he's got a black eye and a record of failure, but hey, at least he's not going home totally empty-handed.
The former Doge head and Tesla CEO held a joint press conference with President Trump in the Oval Office earlier today. Trump awarded Musk with a gold-colored key for his work with Doge.
Classic Trump. Musk endangers his businesses, exposes his personal life, and becomes one of the most disliked public figures in America. And in return, Trump gives him a crappy prop from an escape room. It only works on one door, and that's the door that lets you the out of here. In fact, Musk failed so miserably at his job and caused so much damage that he is now openly distancing himself from the Trump administration.
It's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. There are things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration's doing.
It's a real damned if you do, damned if you ask your son to punch you in the eye. Look, man, you shouldn't have become the Trump administration's new mascot. You were constantly there at the inauguration, at cabinet meetings, at press conferences, saying you don't take responsibility for everything you're doing. Is like Gritty saying, Philadelphia fans are insane. I am a man of reason. If I am even a man. What is Gritty? So, what is Musk distancing himself from anyway? Well, the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress are rapidly dismantling American civil society and turning the country into a reclusive oligarchy in which consumer prices fluctuate with the whims of one man. The president openly enriches himself with meme coins and invites bribes from foreign countries. Colleges and universities are censored. Families and migrants with no criminal record are kidnapped off the streets. Members of the opposition party are arrested and harassed. And basic public services like food inspections and air travel safety and vaccine research grind to a halt while a secretive military contractor assembles a sprawling technological database to track American citizens, and massive amounts of wealth are redistributed from working class people to the top 1%. Through devastating cuts to healthcare and nutrition assistance programs. But I don't want to talk about any of that, and neither does the media. We both want to talk about something way more important. Joe Biden is, and has been, for a while, very old.
House Republicans are escalating their pursuit of answers about then-President Biden's health and an alleged cover-up by those close to him.
We're going to try to get to the bottom of this because this is the biggest scandal in American history.
This is the biggest scandal I could ever imagine in our lives.
Yeah.
There's never been anything like this.
This is a major scandal, in my view, the biggest one in presidential history.
The biggest corruption in the history of the country, bigger than Watergate.
I actually do believe this is a more egregious and longer-running scandal than Watergate.
I think it's about time the legacy media finally admits that was one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals that ever took place in American history.
This is the biggest scandal in American media history.
This is the biggest scandal that I remember in recent political history.
And I hate to tell you this, you have a bad memory. Maybe you should take a cognitive test. You can't remember a bigger political scandal? Oh my God, does that mean Laura Ingraham is in cognitive decline? But in all seriousness, they're right. This is the biggest scandal in history, bigger than Watergate, bigger than Iran-Contra, bigger than the Teapot Dome scandal. Yeah, I said it. Bigger than the Teapot Dome scandal. And if you don't remember the 1923 Teapot Dome scandal from your 8th grade history textbook, just do what I did and read the Google AI overview, which is never wrong. I typed in Teapot Dome scandal, and Google helpfully informed me that the Teapot Dome scandal occurred when the Superdome was accidentally constructed to resemble a teapot. It was actually really fun. In the fourth quarter of close games, they could just release steam. That's why they played the Sugar Bowl there. Of course, it's not even called the Sugar Bowl anymore. Now it's called the Credit Suisse Rocket Money Dogecoin Bowl or some. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait, didn't everybody already know that Joe Biden was old? Didn't poll after poll show that the vast majority of Americans, including a clear majority of Democrats, thought he was too old to run for re-election and wanted someone else? Didn't he biff it so bad in the debate that his own party undertook an unprecedented effort to successfully force him out of the race? Weren't Democrats ultimately punished for Biden's disastrous choice to run again when they got their asses kicked in the November election? Didn't Seth play that clip of Biden falling up the stairs like 1,000 times? This was on TV. Everyone saw it. If this was a cover-up, it was the worst cover-up in American history. It was the worst kept secret since Mika and Joe. We knew. We knew. Nobody has chemistry like that at 6 a.m. This was only like Watergate if the break-in had been live streamed on Twitch. But if you're asking those questions, you're wrong. It is a scandal because you don't know about all the secret information Republicans have.
Listen, I'll tell you something that I haven't said before because it came from a Secret Service whistleblower this past year. This Secret Service whistleblower actually was assigned to Biden, and he told me that Biden used to get lost in his closet in the mornings in the White House.
I'm sorry, but you have a responsibility to immediately go public with whistleblower testimony when it is that hilarious. You've been sitting on Biden lost in his closet for a year? Well, the news has been relentlessly bad. You didn't think that might cheer us up? Just the fun of picturing him trying to make a plan once he realizes he doesn't know where the door is? Keep your cool, Joe. You found your way out of stickier situations than this. It could be worse, yeah. Could be in a wardrobe. Next thing you know, you're in Narnia. Yeah, you meet a talking lion. You say, Jesus Christ, because that's who the lion's supposed to be. I'm not cutting around. It was just a disastrous political choice. And the people who deserve the criticism for that are Biden and the aides who convinced him and themselves that he should ignore reality and run again. But it turns out that guy who got lost in the closet, that might not have been Joe Biden at all. It might have been an imposter.
President Trump spread an outlandish conspiracy theory over the weekend, claiming that former President Biden was executed back in 2020 and replaced with clones and robots. The president reposted the claim made by an obscure anonymous Truth Social user, boosting it to his 10 million followers.
If the Joe Biden from the debate was a robot, I imagine there was a guy backstage just smashing the buttons on his controller screaming, "Did someone spill coffee on this? I can't even get it to close its mouth." There's only one robot Joe Biden ever reminded me of, and it was that Honda robot that ate on the stairs. But actually, if you think about it, this revelation is great news for Democrats. It turns out that wasn't Joe Biden who got stuck in a closet. It was a robot. And that happens to my Roomba all the time. But while we're on the subject of cognitive decline, I would just like to pose a brief hypothetical. Which of these symptoms do you think would be more concerning to a medical professional in assessing the mental acuity of an aging relative? A, forgets dates and names. B, occasionally trips on stairs. Or C, believes a former president was secretly executed and replaced by a robot clone as part of an elaborate Democrat conspiracy to lose the election by having the robot be slower and worse than the original guy. It is insane that this is just a fact of our daily lives now. You wake up in the morning, check the president's social media feed, see that he thinks his predecessor is a robotically engineered clone, and then you just go about your day. And the media will report on it like this.
President Trump spread an outlandish conspiracy theory.
No, an outlandish conspiracy theory is when your Aunt Jean has 3 wine coolers at the barbecue and tells you fluoride in the water makes the frogs gay. I heard that's what happened to Kermit. That's why he's so sassy now. But hey, that's none of my business. This is not just an outlandish conspiracy theory. This is the most powerful person in the world, being so unhinged and detached from reality that he not only thinks Joe Biden is a robot, but also that it's a cool thing to, share with other people. But if all this bad news is getting you down, there's a bright side. You guys. I'll let Iowa's Republican Senator Joni Ernst explain.
This is Republican Senator Joni Ernst. On Friday, she had a town hall in which she was discussing Medicaid reform. There were concerns from the audience about SNAP benefit cuts, and someone shouted out, "People will die." She replied, "Well, we're all going to die."
They are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die.
Oh my God, that's so reassuring. Did you get that from a Ziggy card? Democrats, by all means, do something about the party's old age problem so we don't have to deal with the same issue in 4 years. But instead of spending your time arguing about the last guy, maybe do something about the incalculable damage the current guy is doing, because even Republicans can't defend it. They're out there saying if you don't like their ideas, it's okay because we're all going to die, except for Trump, who doesn't say anything because he's either golfing, tweeting, or
lost in his closet.
This has been A Closer Look.